Sweet. All right. Well, welcome back. I got Jason Vanaha here that needs to make an announcement, so why don't you come on up? Ooh, it's very loud. Could you be my friend?
Okay, hi. If you're interested in paintball, please let me know. I have some flyers, and if I run out of flyers, I'll make some more copies. The most important reason I wanted to make the announcement tonight is that this weekend is not going to happen, so I had to reschedule it. And so, thankfully, because it is chilly out there. So the next two events, one is in May 1st, and then last one is May 29th. So contact me, go on Facebook, whatever. You know the drill. Thank you.
Is this yours? Would you like to? Thank you. All right, we're going to sing some songs. So why don't you guys stand up and we'll get this party started. guys have another song after? Okay. All right. So tonight we're going to start a new series. And what I mean by that is a new focus, something we're going to be studying for the next handful of weeks. And it's called Crazytown because of all the madness that seems to surround this topic and this focus, especially in today's age. I would say even specifically some things that are in this community that we've accepted is true. But what we're going to focus on, we're talking about guys and girls. We're going to be talking about relationships. We're going to be talking about sexual relationships. And now that I got your attention, okay, the Bible actually has a lot to say about it, and of course it does, because God made us. He designed sexual relationships, and when they're lived out and pursued in the way in which He instituted it, it's one of the best, beautiful things we can have in life. It also shows God's creative initiative, but that stuff's a couple weeks off. Tonight and next week, I want to focus on this idea of relationships and dating differently than I've approached it in the past, okay? This summer, I had a couple of different girls at different times say, I don't understand why guys do the things that they do. So I thought, what would be fun is to spend 1 week sharing some things what girls wish that guys knew, and then the next week, things that guys wish girls knew. And I'm not going to be able to hit on all of it, but I tried to pick out some very important parts of the conversation. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be very transparent about this right from the get-go. This isn't like the easiest topic for me to talk about. And the reason why is I can sit and I can speak to the truth that the Bible has to say about it, no problem. Okay, but I'm a single guy. So since I'm not this picture of marriage for all of you students, there's a part of me that feels a bit inadequate about that. Right? I've shared over the years stories of past relationship things that I've dealt with. But for this just being very transparent, this isn't the easiest thing for me to talk about. I think to myself, it'd be awesome if I had a wife who could minister to you girls in ways that I personally can't. But then God reminds me of incredible godly leadership that comes from our ladies that are helping with our youth group, and God knows what He's doing. So I think growing up, I've been in Christian education my whole life, pre-K through 12, all of college, all of grad school. Okay, I grew up going to Sunday morning church, Sunday school, Sunday evening church. Wednesday was either a Awana or a youth group. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I had Bible class. Wednesday, I had chapel, retreats. You get the idea. I heard about this topic all the time, to the point that I was completely desensitized to it. Someone would come in to speak about it in chapel, I just tune right out because I've heard it all before. Every year, I try to speak to this 2 or 3 weeks or so. Last year, we didn't get the opportunity. It was on the schedule, and then COVID came in, and I thought, this isn't going to land the same way trying to share it over the internet. I think it's best talked about. I'm glad that you have small groups to further discuss some of this information. But I speak to it once a year, 2, 3 times. Because when I speak to it, I want you to be able to hear it. I want you to engage with it. Teenagers tend to see youth groups, and specifically youth pastors, as anti-dating and anti-relationship. For some places, that might be true. For me, that's not the case. It's not. I believe, first and foremost, any relationship needs to follow how God has designed relationships to be. And we're going to talk about what that looks like in these next few weeks. Second of all, I believe that relationships and dating, it really pertains to your parents. There's not a one-size-fits-all approach here. Every family that has their kids here is probably going to have a little bit of a different process for what that looks like. When you can date, who you can date, and what that looks like. But I will tell you, there's a part of me that is somewhat skeptical of the process, and I'll tell you why. I would say if I have 10 kids come to talk to me throughout the year about relationships, it's when it doesn't work out. It's the challenges that they're dealing with. It. Very, very seldomly do people come and talk about how great things are going within their relationship. I'm always trying to pick up the pieces of it. However, there are times where it does work out. There's been a couple of situations where I've actually been able to officiate the weddings of kids that attended this youth group, and that's an incredible privilege. It's super fun to see. But I've also seen it happen where 2 kids that have been coming to this youth group start dating, it doesn't work out, and friends have to pick sides, and it all falls apart. I've seen it where someone's come faithfully for many years, they start dating someone who has no interest in God, and over time, they become less and less involved to the point that you don't see them anymore. It's actually really quite common. In fact, I sat down and I thought of several students that have come and I no longer see. And almost all of them were tied back to relationships that pulled them away. But let's talk about this. Because I think it's fun to consider things that girls wish that guys knew. So guys, I'm talking to you tonight, and girls, I encourage you to follow along. I think it'll be an encouragement to you too. Let me tell you guys, there's no way we're ever going to fully understand women. There's not. I'm 35, and I've learned that I know less than I ever thought that I did. There's a reason when you go to your grandpa and say, why is grandma the way that she is? He'll shake his head and sigh and say, I don't know. And they've been married for 50 years. You're not going to understand each other. Not entirely. Okay, we need to know that up front. But because we don't tend to understand each other entirely, there's a lot of things that we get wrong in the process. Maybe not even intentionally. One thing guys have a really hard time doing is reading signals. Sometimes girls try to act as though they're not interested, and guys just keep trying. And one of my favorite movies demonstrates this really well.
What do you think the chances are of a guy like you and a girl like me ending up together?
Well, Lloyd, that's difficult to say, and we really don't...
Hit me with it. Just give it to me straight. I came a long way just to see you married. Just, least you can do is level with me. What are my chances?
Not good.
You mean not good like 1 out of 100?
I'd say more like 1 out of 1,000,000.
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
One of the things that I like about this clip is, generally speaking, guys want just to be the bottom line. Tell them how it is. And a lot of times girls don't want to be mean. They think they're being mean by telling them the bottom line. And so they keep trying, for goodness sakes. But there's other things, just even in casual conversation, that we don't necessarily pick up on as guys. Girls, this should be insightful for you. Guys, if you ever ask a girl how she's doing and she says, I'm okay, she's not okay. It's the same thing with fine. She's fine, okay. It's not true. Just in general. Here's 4 words you don't want to ever hear a girl say to you, okay? We need to talk. I've heard that phrase a few times in my life, and nothing good has ever followed it. Okay, if you hear we need to talk, brace yourselves. Okay, if she says it's not you, it's me, look, dudes, it's you, okay? Girls have this idea where they're going to say, I'm not interested in dating right now. Or I'm not interested in... Guys, when they hear that, think, well, she's just not interested in me right now. Well, most times what she means is, I'm not interested in dating you ever. But that's not what she says. Okay? There's some things you need to pick up on here. There's a difference in how we try to communicate. Girls want to be nice in the process. Guys just want to understand straightforward how it is. We get lost in that communication. So 5 things that girls want guys to know. Girls, you need to tell me later how I did with this. We're never going to understand you, but we can try. The first thing girls want guys to know is, don't play games with me. Stop leading me on. Quit playing games. See, one of a guy's core jobs in any relationship is to be protective, to care, to look out for that individual. So much so that I've done a few of these weddings now, and that's like written into most vows, that that's what they will do for her lifelong. Okay, protecting and caring in that way is anything but playing games with her. But this isn't easy for us guys. Let me explain why. Because guys have this idea, guys need to be the ones who pursue. But sometimes guys realize if I pursue too hard, then I look like a creep. So they're stuck between how do I show her I'm interested but not come across super desperate. It's not an easy place to be. In fact, I remember one of my roommates in college was really into this girl in one of his classes, and he kept trying to find ways to talk with her but not come across like super, super desperate. So, he'd sit with her once in a while, and then the next week he'd act like she didn't exist, and then the next week he'd be trying again, and it's not an enviable spot to be. Well, so finally he decided to tell her how he felt. So they went out and they had this conversation. We used to call it a DTR. I'm guessing you don't call it that anymore, but he told her that he liked her. He wanted to know her as more than a friend. And what she said back to him, like, shocked him, and it actually shocked me when he told me. She said, I like you too, but I don't play games. If you like me, chase after me. And that, for a dude, that's actually really refreshing to hear. Because it's your role to pursue. But you got to know, if she doesn't want you to pursue, you need to drop back. But it's not about playing games, because so often that becomes this idea of just leading someone on. Let me tell you, weak and indecisive boyfriends don't really impress their girlfriends. I got that one right? Thank you. Okay. Truthful words stand the test of time, but lies are soon exposed. Lies are soon exposed. The whole leading someone on, the whole playing games thing, honestly, a lot of it has to do with dishonesty. It's all part of the exact same package. If your relationship starts out in dishonesty, and if you find yourself being very dishonest within that relationship, it is not going to last. Your lies are going to be exposed. Let me tell you guys, girls are dying for a guy to be just plain honest with them. Playing games and telling lies, they seem different, but they're not. Either you need to commit or you need to step away, and you need to be clear about that. You know, we think that we're playing games with her heart. You're playing games with your own heart in the process, too. Proverbs 11:3 says, honesty guides good people. Dishonesty destroys treacherous people. You know, when I think about this area specifically, the divorce rate in this county is really, really high. There's been a lot of students that have come here that have from divorced homes. Most of you could point to relationships maybe you've been in or good friends have been in. Almost always in a broken relationship, there's forms of dishonesty. Dishonesty is a very hard thing to overcome. The second thing that girls want you to know, they might not want to know it, but it's needed. It's okay to have a life outside of each other. Girls, you need to hear this. It's okay if we have a life outside of each other. See, that's one major problem in relationships. And it's not just amongst teenagers, it's even amongst adults. Is when they start living as though there is no life to be had outside of just each other, problems are coming. And a lot of them. Listen, when you give up your friendships and only focus on your relationships, you close the door to all kinds of things, accountability being at the top of the list. Here's a few tips. It's okay not to sit with her at lunch sometimes. It's the truth, it is. It's okay. It's okay to do something outside on a Friday night away from her. You need to have some healthy boundaries with this situation. Now, if she is clingy to the point, or girls, if he is clingy to the point that you're not allowed to have a life outside of each other, then they have some clear issues going on inside by way of their security and their identity. And let me tell you, you're not going to provide an identity for them. That's certainly not how God's designed this. A little space is actually really healthy. We're going to keep going in Proverbs because he's got a lot of great things to say. Without wise leadership, a nation falls. There's a safety in having many advisors. Girls and guys look at this different, okay, when it comes to this. Girls see their friend talking to this guy that they're interested in, they know, and they're like cheering her on from a distance. Oh, she's sitting with him, it's so cute. Dudes are like, what a jerk, what a traitor. Why is he with her? He's supposed to be sitting with us. The truth is, it needs to be somewhere in the middle. Because guys, you need your guy friends. You need a brother, you need a friend, you need a life outside of the relationship, and girls, you do too. Proverbs 17:17 said, a friend is always loyal, a brother is born to help in a time of need. Guys, godly girls are interested in godly guys who have godly friends. Okay, I'm not saying you can't have friends that aren't Christians. I'm not saying that at all. But when she sees you off with your friends that couldn't care less about God, couldn't care less about Christianity, there's going to be a concern that you're going to be influenced and do those exact same kinds of things. Godly girls are interested in godly guys who have godly friends. If you're a decent Christian guy and you've got good godly friends, girls are going to come running. Maybe. Like, taking a shower helps. Which leads to my third point, and this is not a biblical point. I just decided to put this one in there because I literally smell it on Wednesday nights. Third point, Take your personal hygiene seriously. Am I right? Yes. It's okay to acknowledge it. Take a shower. Just try it. Like, my goodness. Let me tell you something. If she thinks he doesn't take care of himself, how is he going to take care of me? If this is how he views himself, how in the world is he going to approach this situation within a relationship? Last week we were playing Uno over here. I don't know why I play Uno every week. It just leaves me angry. One girl saying, it takes me 45 minutes in the morning to get ready. And I was like looking at my cards and how many of them I had, and I looked up and I'm like, wait, what? It takes me like 8 minutes and 30 seconds with a shower to get ready for the day. But the fact is, I do take a shower. I do get ready for the day, for heaven's sakes. Put a premium on your hygiene. This was as close as a Bible verse as I could get to it, and this has nothing to do with personal hygiene. But your lips are as sweet as nectar. That's great. Your honey and milk are under your tongue. That's strange. But your clothes are scented like the cedars of Lebanon. I guess that smells great. So my translation was, girls smell good and you should smell good too. Okay? That's what I wrote here. Let me say this too. Okay? This is really important. This is the most important thing under this point. Your cologne and your Axe body spray does not substitute a shower. I'm dead serious. Dudes just douse themselves with it, and you're not fooling anybody, okay? All you've done is make your BO smell like Axe BO. So you just please take your hygiene seriously, okay? I had to introduce something fun in the middle of this, just because it got real serious for a bit. Fourth one. I told you we were going to have fun with this. No means no. You've heard that saying, but it's the truth. I'm going to say it. It means just that. When a girl says no, it means no. No doesn't mean try harder. Because a lot of dudes think that way. Or no just means for now. See, not only does a real man respect a woman's wishes, a real man doesn't put a girl in a situation where she has to say no. Did you hear that? Not only does a real man respect a woman's wishes, he doesn't put her in a situation in the first place where she has to say no. People get into these relationships and think it's just this, like guys tend to think you get into this relationship and that automatically means that the physical side of the relationship just gets to start taking off. Dinner and a movie doesn't equal making out in the back row. It just doesn't. Let me be clear, making her your girlfriend doesn't mean you get to advance in the physical area as much as you feel like advancing. You need to establish appropriate boundaries and you need to respect them. We're going to talk about that in the coming weeks. Girls have it really challenging, guys. For years, whether it's through movies and Hollywood, girls are portrayed to be some sort of objects. In guys, culture is telling you to take as much as you want and move on. That's a horrible, gross distortion of how God created this dynamic to be. Not only is it a lack of respect for God's creation of women, it's a lack of respect to God himself. 1 Thessalonians says this, God's will is for you to be holy. So stay away from all sexual sin, that each of you control his own body and live in holiness and honor, not in lustful passion, like the pagans who don't know God. See, God's called us to use our sexuality in a very specific way, in the way that he designed it, and that's in marriage. More on that in a couple weeks. When we try other ways, we mess it up. See, most guys, girls, maybe I should save this for next week, but I'm going to say it now. A lot of guys are into a relationship for what they can get, how far they can go. Again, it's talked about, 1 Corinthians, even more in your face. Run from sexual sin. No other sin is so clearly affects the body as this one does. For sexual immorality is a sin against your own body. Don't you realize that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who lives in you and was given to you by God? You do not belong to yourself, for God bought you with a high price. So you must honor God with your body. When we talk about having boundaries, if you go into a relationship and you are the only one of the two of you that has boundaries, they're not going to work. You're either going to give in to them or you're going to break up. There needs to be boundaries. It's as simple as that. If it's one-sided, you're going to fail. Let me tell you guys, if you think the totality of a woman is found in her physical appearance, you don't deserve her. If it's all about and only about physical attraction, you're nowhere near ready for a relationship. It's not going to last anyhow. Don't even bother. Last point. Love Jesus like me. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is if you are someone who's pursuing Christ with your life, you should be searching for someone else who is pursuing Christ with their life. You should have the same heart for Christ as the person that you're trying to pursue. I mean, guys, you can show a girl how much you care about your faith. You can show her how much you value women by the way you treat your mom, by the way you treat your sisters, by the way you treat her and her friends. Because as a brother in Christ, that should be very important to you. One more thing. I didn't put this one on here. I actually thought of it just a couple hours ago. Let me tell you, don't make promises you can't keep. Jesus says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. And at this stage of the game in your teenagers, you're so impressionable. People hang on to promises, even well-intentioned promises, but they have no ability to keep them. So how do I want to bring this to a conclusion? Okay, because next week I'm going to be much more in my element about things guys want girls to know. But there are some things I want you to keep in mind as we go from here. You guys have listened incredibly well, thank you. I'll put it this way. First of all, I want you to take what we've talked about to heart. And you have. And every single one of you has been right here with me, thank you. But it needs to be more than just hearing it. It needs to be accepting it. It needs to be acting upon it. Okay, the second thing I want you to do is you need to have a conversation. Girls, you're much better about this than us guys. Girls will go out, they'll talk with their friends and they'll talk about the last date that they went on and they'll explain what the guy wore, what he ordered, every little thing about it. And dudes will get together and they'll be like, so did you get together with so-and-so? Oh, yeah, awesome. And that's about as far as it goes. Dudes, we need the accountability. Okay, whether it comes from your friends, whether it comes from your family, your parents, whether it comes from your small group leader, you need to have a conversation about your relationship. Maybe the conversation you need to have is the person you're in a relationship with right now. Perhaps your relationship has gone past a certain place that it should have, and you need to make that right. Perhaps they don't value God or a faith the way that you do, and you need to come to an understanding about how that's going to affect your relationship. Okay, this week I'm encouraging you to have a conversation. Third one, accountability. Youth group gives you some of this. But here's the thing about youth group. Here's the thing about small group. It only goes as deep as you take it. The more you put into something, the more you're going to take out of it. If all you're going to do is go to small group and just give the textbook answer, you're not going to walk away from it with a whole lot. There needs to be a willingness to have some transparency. I tried to model that myself right at the beginning. We need accountability. Whether you're a guy, whether you're a girl, there needs to be accountability in this process. And lastly, last thing. I want you to write out a wish list. Okay, I've given you 5 things that girls want guys to know. Next week, 5 things guys want girls to know. But what about 5 things you want to find in someone? That should be your standard. Let me tell you, it should start with someone who loves Jesus. Let's pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for this group. Lord, for the maturity to consider and to talk about these kinds of things. Lord, you've given us the gift of belonging to other people, community. You've given us specific gifts of relationships. Lord, but you have ways that we are able to honor you through those. Lord, you have a design that you've given us and what will bring you glory through that. Lord, in the coming weeks, continue to teach us what that looks like. Lord, as guys will never totally understand girls, and girls will never totally understand guys. But that doesn't mean we can't try to follow you in that process and to honor them, because you created them and you love them. Lord, help us to have open hearts, listening ears. Lord, a conviction from you to do what's right. Lord, I pray that you give us a good and fruitful time in our small groups and our conversations. May all of it bring you glory. In your name, amen. Okay, why don't we close with a song? Come on up and stand up.